let's get started. This event is going on over 3 days. I've got a little PowerPoint to help guide me with what I'm talking about. Some of this is kind of improvised. Some of it is just going to come naturally. I just want to say that I'm also going to be guided by you, especially about what I'm talking about in the next 2 days. Okay, so I'm going to sometimes at certain points, I'm going to ask some questions. Okay, and that's going to help me decide what to talk a little bit more about tomorrow and the next day. Oh, what's going on here? Okay, play from start. Okay, because so I have a PowerPoint. We'll get through some of it, maybe not all. We'll just enjoy what's going on. Okay, the incredible power of your sexual energy. Right. And this is something just, you know, I'm going to explain a little bit about why I do this, but obviously this isn't all just about me. It's about you, and it's about the other people who do this, who work with me, who get these amazing, incredible results with their own energy field through working with this system. And you know, I don't know if you guys saw my post on Facebook today, but what happened to me, you know, completely changed my life, blew my mind, went through this incredible healing experience just because of this little selfish whim of, I want to have an orgasm. How am I going to have an orgasm? And when I figured out how to have orgasms, a lot of stuff started changing in my life in a way I never would have possibly imagined. Now, I want to tell you guys, okay, you probably got emails about a giveaway. Okay, there's another giveaway going on. It's kind of like a put your name in the hat, right? Okay, you can see someone here called Jade's Assistant. Okay, to enter, I want you to send your name to Jade's Assistant. What you need to do is take a screenshot at some point today and stick it into your Instagram story and tag us at the Art of the Bedchamber. Okay, and attend all 3 days. Give my name, and I'm giving away some really cool courses which I don't normally give away to people that are worth like hundreds of pounds or even more. So please do this. Please do enter, and obviously spread the word, spread the love. I know some of you are already sharing this stuff in your story, but let us also you know, make it worthwhile for you as well. So again, and if you've never been here, just do give me like 5 in the chat. Yeah, so I meant a number 5, not a hand. Yeah, but okay, so we're looking like what is our true power. And we all grow up being told, you know, your sexual self, right? You know, if you're a woman, you've been given one message, right? You know, if I show my sexuality a bit too much, I'm asking for it, right? I'm using my feminine wiles. I'm, you know, it's not a very positive thing, right? And I should just kind of keep it in a box and use it with my partner. But I shouldn't even talk about it at dinner time because, you know, and then we wonder why there's so many sexual problems, sexual assaults, relationships breaking down. You know, it's a bit like saying, I'm not going to tell anybody how to pie, but everybody is supposed to know how to make an apple pie. Please kindly mute yourself. Make sure you're on mute. We don't all want to listen to you. Whatever you're doing in the background, just make sure you're on mute. So let's first look at like what the human body is all about. And we're going to be going more in detail into this over the next 3 days. However, the human body is the most sophisticated piece of machinery that exists. It is way beyond anything that NASA could possibly conceive. Iron Man, what's his name? Elon Musk, you know, his robots or whatever, they're all pretty cool. But the human body is just so much more, right? But we don't even know how to use our bodies. We don't understand what they're capable of. So the way most people use their bodies, they're battling their bodies. We think the body, we need to battle dis-ease. We need to take medicine. We need to control this. We need to suppress that, and so on. What we're actually doing is we're battling our power and we're battling our gifts. So it's a little bit like putting a 3-year-old in your Lamborghini. The 3-year-old crashes it into the wall, and then you blame the Lamborghini, saying it must not be well built because the 3-year-old couldn't drive it properly. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, this is kind of what we're doing. So ancient people understood the sophisticated nature of our bodies and knew how to use and traverse parts of ourselves that we battle to gain the highest experience of life. So sometimes this gets referred to as magic, another thing that's been demonized. Literally, if we understand ourselves and know how to use our bodies, this is somehow supposed to be like an evil, sinful thing, according to some traditions, right? You know, and the thing is that today, in the past, people spend their time inside of their bodies getting to know themselves. Today, most people spend their lives externalized, looking out, and there's no inner standing of our true nature and what we're all about. And this includes, you know, spiritual people. You probably saw my little tongue-in-cheek reel yesterday saying, why are there so many spiritual wankers? And literally there's a lot of spiritual people with porn habits who are regularly masturbating, who don't have a relationship with their sexual energy. There's nothing wrong with touching our genitals and giving ourselves pleasure, but the point is it's about the quality of the relationship, and that's what we're going to be talking about here, having like a quality relationship. This is going to be going on over the next 3 days. How can we actually have a quality relationship with our sexual energy? Now, I'm really curious, who of you has done any kind of a self-improvement course, self-improvement program, maybe like a tantra course, something, anything like that? I'm really curious. Can you type into the chat what that course was? I'm really curious, what's the background of people here? Okay. So another thing we're going to be looking at is our emotions. So emotions are get demonized, right? Women are criticized for being emotional beings, you know. In fact, emotions are a sophisticated messenger system that I actually have come to see. It's like very, very connected to how we are actually walking our destiny. When we're not connected to this messenger system, we are really like missing out on so much inner guidance that's actually coming from us. So when we think, oh my God, I feel angry, it's a bad person that I feel angry, I better push the anger down, we're missing out on something massive, you know. We're going to talk about that actually today. And when you separate your sexual energy from the rest of yourself, it means you are cut off from the most powerful energy that you have, the life force energy that created you. It shuts down the alchemical process of the body and it leaves you energetically dead. Okay, I'm really curious about the other courses people have done here. Cool. Cool. Okay. So what we're talking about here, and by the way, I think Tantra is really cool. Tantra challenged a part of me, which was I used to always be a little bit of a, what's the word? Yeah, I didn't used to be very vulnerable. I didn't used to be able to be very vulnerable. And through doing Tantra courses, I really learned to be vulnerable. But let's bear in mind, first of all, that most Tantra that's even taught today, it's very hard to find a decent course. And most of it is showing only a very, very small part of what Tantra is all about. And also, even when we look at these courses and we're learning these things about sensuality and so on, it's like this is like multiplying that by 10 or more, and it's giving you a precise and really, really what I would call like a nerdy understanding into what is actually like going on within the human body and what we can actually do with ourselves. So in ancient times, cultures across the world studied and understood about energy. This is what has more recently been called witchcraft and fell out of favor with the rise of the church. Rather than being a sinister force, this is a powerful force that can be channeled for good and used to heal your body, to create and manifest a beautiful life, and to expand and activate higher consciousness and reach spiritual enlightenment as one holistic orgasm fueled journey. And one of the things I really, really love about this so much is that basically everything fits in perfectly. It's not the model where we're fighting pleasure or we're trying to suffer to be better people. Everything about it just fits together perfectly, like you're getting all the pieces of the puzzle and just putting them all together. And it all just makes sense. Even I just say to my clients, they're like, how do I know if I'm working with the energy right? And I just say, well, you're going to find that basically you feel good, you know, and that's kind of what it's all about. It's kind of interesting, you know, but yeah. So now I just want to see myself on the video and take my own little screenshots. Oh, what's going on there? No, not working. Okay. Are you interested and do you want an accelerated understanding of how to do this? Tell me, guys, yeah? Can I have a number 3 in the chat? If you are interested and you want an accelerated understanding of how to do this. If you're not interested, we can all say bye-bye right now. I don't want to bore you. If you're on, oh, that's a lot of 3s there. Okay, now I'm feeling under pressure, guys. Oh my God. So, okay, no, it's all going to be fine. It's all going to be good. So, okay, right. I'm just going to have, okay. So, looks like we're ready to continue. So, I just want to explain a little bit about who exactly I am. 1 second. Just getting a photo of this for myself. Okay, who exactly I am and a little bit about my story and how I got into all of this, because you're probably kind of wondering how on earth, and a lot of people ask me this, right? How on earth did you get into this stuff? And the answer is I had a lot of problems, and where to even start with the problems. You know, I think maybe the biggest one would have been like chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. I couldn't sleep. I had anxiety. I was 100% basically relying on cannabis to get to sleep. I was battling to go through cannabis-free periods without having that joint before going to bed. I was having chronic back pain. I was getting sick every other month, urinary tract infections. My emotions and moods were all over the place. I was having like really bad energy levels. What else was going on? Everything, you know, everything. And I've always been a really creative person, had all these projects going. I was putting so much effort in, but it was like things were not coming to completion. And then as well, I'd never had an orgasm. I didn't know what an orgasm was. I couldn't envision what an orgasm was. But that was just, you know, I had all these other problems. Yeah. So why would I really be looking at the orgasm, right, as the problem? And I tried to fix the backache. I tried to fix the insomnia. I tried to fix all these other different things. I mean, I was going to so many different therapies, trying so many different practices. There was some improvement. And, you know, for example, the cannabis addiction thing, it was just so difficult to kick. Even when I wasn't doing it for months, I wanted it all the time, you know. And it kind of got to this point where I was just so stressed out and so tired of, you know, all this work and all this effort I was putting in to be a better person, to heal myself and so on. And I just thought, you know what, screw this all. There's one thing I really, really want more than anything else, and that is to have an orgasm. And, you know, I do believe that when we put out to the universe does bring to us, you know, and the universe is giving to us all the time. And most of the time we're just like, go away. I don't want to deal with that, right? Because it means we're having to deal with stuff that might take us a little bit out of our comfort zone, you know. But this time I was like, and I remember embarrassing as this is to share, I will share it, right? smoked some cannabis, and I actually went to the cash machine, took out £300 and left it in the machine and walked off, because I was like, you know, from the smoking, and I was just like, man, this is not, you know, this is no way to live my life. This is just, you know, I'm addicted to this thing. I spoke to my doctor. The doctor's like, oh, but loads of people smoke cannabis every day. And I'm like, but I know it's not right. I know I have a problem. And even though the doctor didn't see it as a problem, you know, and it just came into my life, the fact that this guy Mantak Chia existed, and so on and so forth. I got one of his books. I was introduced to what the practices were. These are not practices that it's recommended to go off and start practicing on your own. I found a teacher. I found a few teachers. I started practicing. I started working with my energy. I started cultivating my energy. And over a period of, I would call it a few months, you know, maybe a year. I mean, in those days, it was quite difficult because you had to go to one teacher, then another teacher, then a different teacher, because nobody kind of had it all together, you know, but I was piecing it together, and I was meditating, and I was working on my energy. The first thing that happened was all the desire for cannabis disappeared, you know, and then I noticed other things starting to change in my life. And I probably went through this 6-month period where I was going quite insular, you know, and it was kind of like, then I just reappeared to my friends, looking about 10 years younger, acting completely differently. And people were just like, what happened to you? What's changed? What's going on? You know, and I'm going like, oh yeah, like it's really amazing. I found this meditation called the microcosmic orbit, and I'm doing this and all these other things. And basically, you know, this is better than any joint I ever smoked. And everyone's just going like, come on, what rubbish are you talking? You know, well, you can imagine a little while later, they then started getting curious about what I was doing. But I think the thing that happened during this period, you know, which I wanted an orgasm, right? I wanted to stop smoking the weed. I got what I wanted, both of those desires very, very quickly. But I think what I got was so much more than what I ever could have imagined. And that's what I'm here to talk about today and over the next few days. And that's what I really want to share with you, that sometimes I speak to people and they say to me literally, oh, I have so many other problems going on in my life. The last thing I can prioritize right now is doing something to heal my sexuality. And I totally get why people say this, because we're told, take your sexual energy and put it in a box, like a box of after eights, and stick it on the shelf and just get it out for special occasions. We're taught to think that it's something superfluous. We're taught to think that if you're having problems with your orgasms, your erection, so on and so forth, this is just something going off on the side. I can just say, you know, it's not, yeah. And the more that I've worked on myself, the more I've worked with clients. I've literally worked with thousands of people. Yeah, my clients include like authors. My clients include like one of the really, really esteemed psychiatrists in the world. I can tell you his name. He's written a lot of books about psychiatry and tantra, and he literally says I'm like the best therapist. You know, he's kind of had enough, I think, of psychiatry and psychology and so on. You know, some of my clients would never want me to say their names. Like I have some really like big wig, like banking chiefs and so on, you know, that I work with. But I also have people, by the way, who are completely normal people. Like I was a normal person. I went onto this path. I started this path, and I kind of invested all the money that I had into it because I just knew in my soul something was drawing me towards this and telling me I need this, you know. And I think that this is something like we really feel like inside ourselves, and I don't even think it comes from the brain. I think it comes from the soul, or it even comes from the vagina, and it even comes from the penis. And I say the vagina, not the womb, because there's actually so much, you know, we talk about womb healing and so on, but the healing we can do with our vaginas and with our penises, I'll talk more about this tomorrow, and the huge change and shifts this can actually bring about in our lives is just beyond it's beyond imagination. So, you know, I trained with Taoist Grandmaster Mantak Chia, quite a few of the other instructors as well. I have the certification from him to teach. I'm also a certified Tantra educator. I've helped literally thousands of people actually as my paying clients. Then the people who follow me on social media is coming into tens of thousands of people. And like, it so warms my heart when someone just messages me and just says, you know, I followed what you said and I had my first orgasm, or, you know, even people who just read my posts and get involved, like from social media, who are having huge changes happening in their lives. And then when you look at, like, obviously, when someone actually comes and starts working with me and putting in that discipline to follow a path, which, yes, it's discipline, and it's very much about, I want this result. And specifically, you know, yeah, it might be, I want to have a better erection, I want to last in bed, I want to have orgasms. You know, if those are your motivations, we might call those lower self motivation, but there is no difference between the lower self and the higher self on a certain level. I did realize, because, you know, I was drawn by this lower self desire to have an orgasm, and it's completely, you know, it's put me on the path to my destiny. And when I started to have this activation into energy activation, I started having the full body orgasms, when I suddenly found all the desire for cannabis was gone. I found I was able to sleep. I found my moods leveling out. Found my colds disappearing, the urinary tract infections, all of this disappearing, the backache gone, completely gone. I was lying down every single day with backache because I didn't want to take painkillers. All of that, it's just blocked energy, essentially, when you start working and you start hacking in the energy field. So like I said, you know, I think the fact that we even just become aware of this is really, really important. But, you know, there's a point, and you'll know if it's for you or not, you know. There's a point, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more in the next few days about how you can start doing this, where you can start creating a discipline and a practice in your life, and you can actually start to work with this energy, and then it becomes basically like a way of life for you, where you you're just you know, you're working with energy all the time with everything that you're doing. So here I am with the gorgeous soul, the master Chia, who's taught all of this stuff. So just want to explain to you, you know, a little bit about, okay, when we say the word vision, right, we think of vision, we can have an external vision, we can have an internal vision, but when we look at vision from the Chinese medicine perspective, you're actually talking about a line of energy that goes from the big toe, it's called the liver meridian, up your body, right next to your genitals, and it connects in with your genitals and your sexual energy. It comes up into your chest, and it actually comes up into your eyes, and it gives you your vision, your eyesight, but it also gives you your inner vision, which shows you your destiny. Okay. And I truly believe that unless we human beings start getting back into this ancient knowledge and start getting in touch with our bodies, you know, getting into actually learning how to work with our energy, we're always going to be a bunch of disempowered people that are sitting around who are complaining about this, we're complaining about that, everything's really negative, we're not getting where we want, which is what it seems like most of the world is. And why? We don't need to be like this. Sure, people can complain, the system is unfair, but if you learn how it works, you can take advantage of where it's unfair. You can't change it. You cannot change the system, but you can change yourself. And I'm quite lucky because I actually befriended, or was befriended by, I should say, I was befriended by, without going into too much detail, somebody that's in one of these societies, right? You know, that started to explain to me about how this all works, how money works, right? How money is an energy, and how people that are very, very elite and so on in the society, actually, they're all practicing with this energy. And we know that a lot of it is being done in ways that are sinister, you know. I mean, he literally was in that society because his parents, grandparents, so on and so forth, going back, you know, and he'd had a little bit of a shift and kind of got more into tantra and maybe like a different side of it. But it really like opened my eyes, along with the experience I had where, you know, I've been doing all these really cool creative things, but when my orgasm activated, and I'm going to talk more about this tomorrow, how the body is an alchemical chamber, and if we're not having this energy moving up the body, the alchemy isn't working, and we're missing out on the experience of life. But when I started having this experience, I started to see where I was going. So I also set my intention before this, and all you beautiful people here, you know, you've all come here with this amazing desire within yourselves to become better people. I know many of you I know, and you know, it's so inspiring to me to see all of you with your intentions, and we're really bringing our intentions together. So I just want to go over, so my vision that I hold for you, and I'll be laying out over these 3 days, is the result of the blueprint that I used to work with my clients, that is giving them results in every area of life that both them and I still find astounding. So this vision is of you stepping into the future, where you are doing the deep work that you are really need to do in order to create the life that you dream of, which is your destiny. And now in 2023, we can sit around, we can just let things take us and so on. Yeah. Chances are we're just gonna, you know, we've developed and advanced enough that we need to do this work, or it's like sink and swim type of situation, you know. You're not stepping into this journey blind. You're armed with the most powerful tools to get what you want effortlessly and with fun. And I honestly think this is like a cheat sheet of shortcuts you can literally learn in a few months, which will change your entire life. It's not going on a coaching program where someone helps you for a few months and then you kind of disappear out of it. This is something that is a lifestyle where you get the codes to basically be able to understand your energy and understand the energy field and work with it. And how powerful does that make you, right? I see you unleashing your power, your potential and possibilities instead of fearing growth, you know. And we all have this side that goes, you know, even me, yeah, maybe like, you know, I love doing these talks, but obviously there's a little side of me that before that's still going to jump up and say, oh, I'm talking in front of all these people. What if I like forget my lines, or I mess up or embarrass myself or whatever? And hey, we can all forget our lines, mess up and embarrass ourselves. It's okay, right? You know, we need to give ourselves permission to do that. But, you know, the more that I've stood up, because when I first started talking in front of people, it was terrifying. It was awful. But the more I did it, the more I enjoyed it. And the more I learned to connect into the energy and the meaning of everything that I'm doing, you know. And all of us, I think we all know that nothing is more painful than feeling powerless to address those physical and mental or even energetic drains that seem to destroy your life. It is incredible how easily these can be eliminated from your life. So, I mean, I work with clients around certain like addictions and mental imbalances and so on, who literally they find that within a matter of weeks, yeah, they're turning the tables on these things. They've been on meds for years and told us kind of like a life sentence for them. So getting on now, and I need to be conscious of the time because I do need to finish in the next 25 minutes for today. Okay, so be the ultimate you. You can work on your body, so you can work out, you can educate your mind, but unless you also understand the energy field and how to work with it, you are at a huge disadvantage. So I know you get this, and I know that you so richly deserve this, because I think you would have left by now if you're thinking she's really talking rubbish. Is this going to show me how many people have left? Maybe you've all left. No. So I'm going to promise you something, right? Over these next days, I'm going to provide a clear framework of the process of energy hacking and how you can implement it into your life with powerful results. This includes that you will learn one of the major components of this process to take and start working on, I should say, over the next 3 days. Okay. And each day I'm going to share with you over these 3 days, one of 3 big secrets that they know, but you do not know. Okay. So let's look at secret 1 now. Day 1 secret. Your negative emotions are your best friends. And I'm really curious. Is this making sense to you? Stick it. Oh my God, there's even one more person's joined. Okay. I hope I'm making sense. What I want to know is, stick in the chat. Your negative emotions are your best friends. What I want you to do is, she's speaking complete, dangerous, utter rubbish. Put a 1. Maybe, yeah, okay. I'm open-minded. I'll listen you out. Put a 2. I totally get what you're saying, and I've experienced it myself. Stick me a 3 in the chat. So 2.5, I love it. There's no 5 here. There's a 2. The 2.5, yeah. Okay, okay. And do you know what? There's working with emotions, and then there is working with emotions on the energy field. And let's have a look. And guys, now I'm really, really curious, okay? Let's be honest. We all have negative emotions that bother us and bug us and so on. Yes. So what I'm interested in is which negative emotion is like causing the most discomfort and turmoil in your life. Nova, I'm so glad you made it. Oh my God. Really nice to see you. Okay, so I'm going to talk about anger because that's really taboo, right? And you guys are supposed to be spiritual beings, and we spiritual people, we're not supposed to be angry, right? We're supposed to transcend it. Oh, I'm loving the shame. I'm loving the shame, the fear, the disappointment, insecurity about myself. Let's have a look at anger, because anger is something I really, frustration and anger is like on the same, it's on the same sort of space. Okay, so impatience, yeah, love it. Okay, shame and guilt, yeah. Okay, let's look into anger and let's look into shame. Okay, what is anger right now? Just try to like tune into the feeling of anger, because I think that some of us have repressed it so well, it's not even there. Now, let me give you an example of one of my clients who had the last 2 years, he was in a relationship with someone he genuinely loved and wanted the relationship to work. But things had just been going downhill and getting more and more and more tense, yeah, to the point that they were living together, sadly, with a small child who was in the middle of this situation. Things had become so tense. Every word they were speaking to each other was passive aggressive. You know, we start working together, and I recommend in this situation, look, just work, yeah, with yourself. We can't try and force our partners to come in, but when we work on our own energy, not only does it affect our partner, our family members, literally the people we work with, the people who work for us, you know, it's so powerful, right? And he didn't say at all at the beginning, you know, he had an issue with anger. In fact, he believed he had transcended it years ago. He did all of this spiritual work, you know, overcoming everything that, you know, all these negative emotions that he'd overcome and transcended. But the thing was, what he had done was he'd repressed it. And repression is shame. Repression is where shame comes from. It's where insecurity comes from, you know. So he'd repressed, and basically what had happened was it then compresses down. It goes into frustration. It goes into passive aggression. It goes into bitterness. How much of that do we see around us? People complaining about XYZ, so-and-so doing this, so-and-so got a better life than them, so-and-so this and that, yeah. And we have this like toxic underlay of shame pushing down our anger, okay, that basically actually the effect it has includes on the women, yeah, not experiencing sexual pleasure. In the men, it affects your erection, it affects your ejaculation as well, but especially it affects your erection, and it affects our ability to relate because we are not being authentic. Now, when we look in terms of the energy field, and we look at the different emotions, okay, and we have negative and positive emotions which work together in pairs. Now, the emotion of anger, we all know it's a rising up, right? You've all felt that anger rising up, right? Give me a 7 in the chat if you felt that anger coming up. And sometimes, you know, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Because sometimes the anger is there to protect us. You know, I mean, I was in a club a couple of weekends ago and I was dancing and somebody grabbed my ass and I got angry. I turned around and slapped the guy in the face, but he probably did that to like 5 other women before. So we could say he got his just desserts, although there was about 10 people standing around looking at me just like, you know, because I guess they didn't know what the guy had done, but I guess they probably, you know, guessed or something that he had done that. But the point is, it's not always, you know, and especially if we look back at our ancestors needing to survive and so on, like having that feeling of anger coming up, It can actually protect us, you know. But obviously in this day and age, we don't generally, you know, there's so much flying around of all this anger. We don't actually generally want to be throwing around anger at people. You know, in reality, it's very rare that I feel angry at people, but I felt like that was like an appropriate situation. But the thing is, what happens is when we repress it in appropriate situations, it's then coming out in inappropriate situations because it's bubbling up there, looking for something to do and looking for somewhere to go, right? Okay, so when we're pushing down this upward movement of energy, it literally actually stifles our creativity and it stifles our self-expression. Now, as a kid, I was always told by my parents, you know, when I asserted myself a little bit, oh, you're so angry, you need to push that down, right? Especially we women, we are told that. And I think the fact we as women are being told that, and the fact I hear from so many women, oh, I don't like what he's doing down there, but I don't really want to tell him because I don't want to hurt his feelings, and so on and so forth. And this is not good. Yeah, this is not okay. We need to be standing our ground and we need boundaries. And how many people do not have healthy boundaries? Even when I start working with people, or people want to work with me and they're scared about having the space for 1 hour to talk to me one time a week. And I'm like, if you can't actually say to the people around you, I need this space of 1 hour for myself per week, what's going on with your life, you know? Now, when we start getting in touch with our anger, when it starts rising up, this is literally a process that usually takes me like just a couple of weeks to get the client very, very secure in, so that instead of having this underlying emotions, which can be just causing havoc in various ways, and it's almost like the more we repress it, the more it's causing problems, even coming out as cancers and things like this, you know, literally in a few weeks, being able to feel this energy rising, transforming it with pure love into creativity, into healthy boundaries, into just creating a respectful space around ourselves. Now, when we look at shame, shame is like that pushing down, you know, if you're a guy here, right, you've experienced, you're somewhere, you get an erection, right? Men get erections. It's not like you're a raging pervert about to rape someone because you have an erection. You get an erection, it's part of life, it's a normal thing, but men are shamed and taught that they shouldn't be having that happen to them, you know. So you push your sexual energy down, you repress it. We as women, it's very much often that we're taught that if we show our sexual energy, we're going to be, you know, it might even be we're putting ourselves in danger by showing our sexual energy, that we're asking for certain things to happen to us, and so on. So this is something that's shamed. Anger is often shamed. The fact, oh, you're fearful, that's a shameful thing. Oh, you're feeling, even something I notice going on now is we're often shamed for feeling love. There's a lot of this going on in Tantra. You're too attached, you're too this and that, when you're just wanting to share love with someone. So every negative emotion holds a gift, right? Anger, this is one of them. It's holding your creativity, it's holding your boundaries. Fear, do you know what is the gift within fear? Have a guess, write it in the chat, anyone? What is the gift within fear? And there's 1 or 2 people that should know this here. Good guess. Makes you alert. Wisdom. Fear gives us wisdom. It teaches us that we shouldn't just walk off a cliff, right? We get that emotion, we get that feeling. And interestingly, in tribes, children are raised in tribes where they're not told anything about what's safe or not, and they instinctively know because the fear is telling them. So before we finish today, I want to just go over a couple more of these points, and I really hope to see all of you guys tomorrow as I continue. So I just wanted to just go a little bit more into, why am I talking about this? Why am I sharing this? Why am I giving this free event out to you? And obviously, I know like some of you are going to just kind of watch this and go off and be like, okay, cool, you know, right? That's fine. A certain percentage of you will do that. I think others of you will start to try to implement it and use it in your life, okay, which is cool as well. You know, I think there's others of you here that are going to want to know about how to get actually a disciplined practice going with this, okay? If you're one of those third people, please message my assistant, but I'm going to be giving you some more information about this tomorrow. Okay, so if we've learned nothing from the last few years of the pandemic, it is that your time is now. It's not soon, it's not later, but it's now. And in Taoism, and this is what we're going to be talking about tomorrow as well, it's like we are so focused on self-love, but self-love is in growing the energy of love within ourselves and really having this energy field that allows us to be vibrating with love, which then makes it very easy to share love with other people, you know, so we don't buy into the idea that we should just give out to other people when we're not resourced, because what we're doing is we're enabling people, you know, when we take that decision. And I think, you know, I've always been a little bit of a giver, right? It's in fact something I had to learn not to do because it can come from trauma. It's very often coming from trauma that we're out over giving to people. And I honestly think the biggest impact I've had on my life is on other people's lives, it's through the work I have done on myself. And when people see these shifts happening in me, then being like, wow, I want some of that. You know, we do not know what the future holds, but obviously we want to go into it in our power. I know how scary it is to step up and into your power. And I know that most people cower in fear and embrace smallness because it seems easier. But you are here because this is not you. And I think that when we're in a world where we have a vision, we have something we want to create, we know that we are more than, you know, a lot of the energies that we're seeing around us. It's like, it can be a difficult thing. It can be a tough thing, you know. We live in a world full of people living in self-imposed disempowerment, complaining about life, politics, and others. And it's a little bit now, there's almost like a shaming going on that, oh, you step into your power, you're doing this and that, you must be privileged, you must be this, you must be that. Honestly, I know a lot of people stepping into their power that have grown up with a lot of trauma, a lot of difficulty, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of poverty. And they're really going out there and they're really, really doing it for themselves after having actually found a way to overcome those traumas that were holding them back. And I truly think, like, I see this so many people around me, and you can't just say it to someone, right? But when you get to a place with someone where you can start explaining, look, you're not doing well with this in your business and so on because of these traumas that are stuck in your body. And when we look at these traumas, the way they may be stuck in the body of women, you know, when our ancestors have been raped and that energy is handed down from womb to us. When we look at, for example, like people of color who are holding the traumas of having their cultures destroyed, their people enslaved, their people abused, and so on. And these are still being held within people's system. And we can talk about activism, we can talk about all these other things, but it's actually us going within our bodies and shifting this and changing this that sends not just out into the world around us, but literally sends back through the generations, healing as well. And there's a big shift going on in the world at the moment. I don't know if you guys are noticing this, like there's a big shift actually going on within the center of power, that people who were not in positions of power before and groups, you know, disadvantaged groups are now starting to more and more step into their power. And because I know a lot of the people doing this, you know, it's incredible to see some of these people, but there's always this awareness that if we're not healing ourselves and we're not reprogramming ourselves back to our original programming, which is what this is all about, if we're not coming back to our original programming, then basically we are not going to be able to go against the mentality which has taught us to be mesmerized by a system which seems to sell us, you know, the idea that we can be successful or famous or rich and so on. It sells us that idea, but if we follow their path to do it, we will inevitably fail and be stuck in a trap where we're just going round and round and round, and we're enslaved to that system unless we actually go out there and we heal what's going on within ourselves that's keeping us stuck in these cycles. Okay, so more importantly, the years we spend without the knowledge of our power and tools to use it, meaning we are going through life on a tiny percentage of what we are capable of, are years we could have shone far more brightly for you and for all, you know. And when we complain about, you know, things like, you know, what people disadvantages, perhaps, you know, the 1% and the disadvantages we may have and so on, and that's all well and good, that's cool, but we can use the same energies that they are using, but when we're using that from a place of love and balance and healing and personal empowerment, it is much, much more powerful than actually, you know, the forces that are destroying the planet at the moment. So let's have a look at the mastery of your sexual energy that gives you more pleasure. So what you have to gain, right? Okay, so we're talking about over the next couple of days. I can just see a message from my personal trainer. I hope he's not outside. Let's just see. Let me tell him 5 minutes. Okay, this is what you have to gain. The mastery of your sexual energy that gives you more pleasure and yet an elimination of unwanted urges. So those feelings of sexual energy we don't like because they're controlling us, gone, but way, way, way more pleasure. Your ability to connect and manifest the relationships of your dreams is amplified. You learn to fortify the energy of self-love so that you're constantly madly in love with yourself in an indestructible way. Emotions go from being a sinister overlord to your obedient pets serving you every step of the way. You can recycle your sexual energy to heal your body, catapult your creativity, and manifest the life of your dreams. And your inner sight and your third eye is open to give you the vision of your destiny and the path you need to walk to achieve it. So what this addresses is sexual issues, including ED and orgasm issues, the inability to create the relationship of your dreams. We're going to be talking a lot about these sexual issues of love tomorrow. The lack of confidence and self-love, feeling out of control, emotional dissonance and mental disturbances. Let's be honest, we all get that. Low energy levels, physical unwellness, creativity and abundance blocks, lack of inner vision and direction, and aging and deterioration. Okay, and that actually ties in with the sexual energy, because when you manage to take and recycle this sexual energy, what happens is it actually slows down and reverses the aging process, which is pretty cool. So I'm sure that you can see how when this is accessed, you will be able to see this new version of yourself. And this is you, your authentic self. I'm not a relationship coach that says you need to contort yourself and act like this and do this and so on and so forth in order to create a good relationship, in order to attract love, in order to make your relationship work and better, in order to get what you want. No, this is about you becoming the cleaned out, upgraded version of your authentic self by clearing energies out of your body that don't belong there, by going back into your original programming, and then by literally going into your sexual organs. I'm talking about vaginas and penises, right? Going into these sexual organs and actually learning how do you clean out the energies in your sexual organs, because sexual organs are actually designed to clean our body of blockages and negative emotions. We just don't know how to use them. Okay, so guys, right, we're going to start talking tomorrow about hacking the energy field and about sexual energy. I've really enjoyed this today. I'm so excited that all you guys came. It is so nice to see faces, put faces to names, to faces. I'm really excited to have everybody here tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to overrun over the 1 hour a little bit. But it's been so cool. It's been so exciting. And I really want to encourage all of you guys, reach out to us via DM. And don't forget the screenshot, take your screenshot now, put it onto your Instagram, tagging us in the Art of the Bed Chamber photo, whatever you want to do, right? Where's me? Okay, and tag me, right? And then get ready for your, and I'm giving away things I've never given away for free before. Okay, by the way, guys, so sending lots of love, everybody. Ciao for now. Bye. Bye.